Good morning, crime community. I'm going to try to finish this chapter in Poisoner in Chief. Today it's called Abolishing Consciousness. As Sidney Gottlieb spent money spreading money to the researchers he had contracted to study LSD, he encountered a predictable problem: supply. Sandoz held the patent, but it was a Swiss company and beyond CIA control. Intelligence reports suggested that Sandoz was already selling large quantities to the Soviet Union and other communist countries. These reports were false, but they sent shockwaves through the CIA. It is awfully hard in this day and age to reproduce how frightening all of this was to us at the time, one CIA officer testified decades later. But we were able to locate that really had potentially fantastic possibilities if used wrongly. In mid-1953, a CIA officer was dispatched to Basel to solve the problem. He returned with a report asserting that Sandoz had 10 kilograms of LSD on hand, which he correctly called a fantastically large amount. Dulles approved the expenditure of $240,000 to buy it all, the world's entire supply of LSD. The two officers he sent to pick it up, however, quickly discovered that their colleague had confused kilograms with grams. Sandoz had manufactured a total of less than 40 grams, of which 10 were still in stock. The confusion led Gottlieb to decide that MKUltra needed a reliable supply of LSD and a pledge from Sandoz that it would not sell any to the Soviets. Sandoz was happy to cooperate. It did so not out of sympathy for CIA mind control projects about which it knew nothing, but it rid itself of its problem child. A CIA officer who was sent to Basel reported that Sandoz was sorry that they discovered this material, since it had been the source of many headaches and bother. As soon as Gottlieb learned that Sandoz had no desire to protect LSD, he secretly began paying an American pharmaceutical company, Eli Lilly, to try to break its chemical code. The company's scientists went to work immediately. With the scientist ordered mind, Gottlieb designed a system of organizing the multifaceted research that was the heart of MKUltra. He called each of its contracts a subcontract and assigned it a number. During 1953, he launched more than a dozen. The Safe House, quote unquote, in New York was subproject 3. Paying scientists at Eli Lilly to break the chemical code of LSD was subproject 6. Other early subprojects were aimed at studying non-chemical means of mind control, including by what one reported called social psychology, group psychology, psychotherapy, hypnosis, sudden religious conversion, and sleep and sensory deprivation. For the earliest days of MKUltra, Gottlieb and his fellow scientists were tantalized by the potential of hypnosis. They saw it as holding out the promise of an exquisite refinement in the art of political murder. A hypnotized killer could carry out his crime and then forget who he had ordered it, or even if he had committed it. Americans took hypnosis seriously during the early Cold War. In 1950, a Colgate University professor, George Easterbrook, asserted in the popular magazine Argosy that he had the ability to hypnotize a man without his knowledge or consent into committing treason against the United States. He attracted the CIA's attention. After MKUltra was launched, Easterbrook wrote a memo to the CIA saying that he could create a hypnotic messenger who would be unable to betray a secret mission because he had no conscious knowledge of what the mission may be. He also offered to take a group of human subjects and establish in them, through the use of hypnotism, the condition of split personality. The CIA officer who received the memo judged it very important. Easterbrook went home and went on to become a CIA consultant. In 1953, Morris Allen, who also believed fervently in the potential of hypnosis, ordered the production of a short film called The Black Art for showing to CIA employees only. It depicts an American intelligence officer drugging and hypnotizing an Asian diplomat In a trance, the diplomat enters his embassy, removes documents from a safe, and turns them over to his handler. The film ends with a persuasive voiceover. Could what you have just seen been accomplished without the individual's knowledge? Yes. Against an individual's will? Yes. How? Through the powers of suggestion and hypnosis. This contradicted what many scientists believed. During World War II, the OSS had consulted psychiatrists who studied hypnosis. One of them, Lawrence Kuby, who had worked with George Hunter White, a truth serum experiments, relied that he was skeptical that it will accomplish anything. Two others, Carl and William Menninger, who ran a highly regarded psychiatric clinic in Kansas, was even more empathetic. There was no evidence that supports post-hypnotic acts, especially when the individual's morals produced the slightest conflict within him. They concluded, a man to whom murder is repugnant and immoral cannot be made to override the personal taboo. This conclusion did not tell Gottlieb what he wanted to hear. He was determined to investigate the potential of hypnosis under chemical conditions. One of the first ventures was MKUltra Subproject 5, under which a researcher of the University of Minnesota, Alden Sears, conducted a carefully planned series of hypnosis experiments on about 100 subjects. Discretion was guaranteed since, as Gottlieb wrote in the memo, both Sears and his boss, the chairman of the psychiatric department, were cleared through top secret and were aware of the real purposes of the project. In the same memo, Gottlieb listed the area he wanted Subproject 5 to investigate. These are the subjects he wanted to investigate: hypnotically induced anxieties, hypnotically increasing the ability to learn and recall written complex matter, polygraph response under hypnosis, hypnotically increased ability to observe and recall a complex arrangement of physical objects, relationships and personality to susceptibility to hypnosis, recall of hypnotically acquired information by very specific signals. Despite his avid interest in hypnosis and other possible paths to mind control, Gottlieb never strayed far from his conviction that the most likely path lay through psychoactive drugs, especially LSD. After launching his first hypnosis subproject, he conceived the idea of another in which hypnotism, drugs, and sensory deprivation would be tested in combination. As his contractor, he enlisted Dr. Louis Jolly West. Let's repeat that one more time. This is real important. As his contractor, he enlisted Dr. Jolly West. Have we heard of him? Yeah, he was in the Manson file, wasn't he? He was in Tom O'Neill's file, wasn't he? Chairman of the psychological department at the University of Oklahoma, West was researching ways to create dissociative states in which the human mind could be pulled from its moorings. Now he's just a big psychologist at UCLA, huh? This guy killed an elephant with LSD. In his proposal to Gottlieb, he reported that the experiment, sorry for being so upset, in which the human mind could be pulled from its moorings. In his proposal to Gottlieb, he reported that experiments involving altered personality function as a result of environmental manipulation, chiefly sensory isolation, yet yielded promising leads. Gottlieb urged him to go further. The result was Subproject 43, in which West tested that he called the action of a variety of new drugs which alter the state of psychological functioning. At least some of these tests were conducted in the unique laboratory with a special chamber in which all psychologically significant aspects of the environment can be controlled. In this setting, the various hypnotic, pharmacologic, and sensory environmental variables will be manipulated in a controlled fashion. The CIA paid $20,800 to build the laboratory and support Jolly West's work. Whether directly experimenting with drugs, hypnosis, sensory deprivation, or combination of all three, Gottlieb was searching for a kind of magic. All of these sub-projects were aimed at funding portions of techniques that could be used to distort, confuse, disorient, and control people. That led him to MK Ultra Subproject 4, bringing magic to the CAA. We're going to end here to the next chapter. I just want to remind all the people that are watching my stream, anybody at all who's watching my stream, I appreciate it. I am telling the truth here. I am an MK Ultra project survivor, like Kathy O'Brien. I was in Sid Gottlieb's group before I knew the Gottlieb family. Now I have children related to the Gottlieb family. So God bless all the children and have a nice day.